Hello, everybody, and welcome. Episode 110 of Illiana Stock Car Radio, and it'll be our third installment of the Road to the Racetrack series. We focus on the Grundy County Speedway tonight. But first, if you don't know us by now, well, you've been missing out. Jeremy Banning here, along with the brothers Goodacre, Chris, and Brian. What's going on, guys?
A whole lot of photo editing and just staying ready for the racetrack.
Photo editing,
we're in the
race
thick
car
of it now.
prepping.
Yeah.
It's been a busy couple of weeks around.
Yes, it has.
Hence why this episode is a little later than what it typically is.
Kind of. Hence why this whole preseason promoter roundup is now mid-season.
Yeah.
Our mid-season check-ins.
Early season check-ins at this point.
We'll just wrap up with Tony there in August.
Yeah.
The
way it worked last year, probably.
The rate things are going. I think that's the way it's going to be. I think I was at the shop every night last week thrashing on a race car. So
awesome. That's what race season's all about.
That's it. That is it, man. But like you guys said, man, we are in the thick of it.
Yep. But before we get to things, we have to mention Mike Hollifield. Sadly passed away Sunday. He was a big part in the dirt scene around here, winning track championships at Crown Point, Kankakee, Shady Hill. And then moving on to build a bunch of cars. I know the Buzzard race cars and the Wheeler Mafia. That was him and his crew. And I know it was I want to say it was cancer that he ended up passing from. I know that it's been all over Facebook. So if you happen to, I'm not sure if they'll be public or private with visitation and all that, but I'm sure details will come out probably before this gets posted, truthfully. But yeah, I just want a quick moment of silence, acknowledgement to
condolences.
There we go. Sorry, it's a long week, right? To the Hollifield family and friends and all the Wheeler Mafia and everybody that knew Mike and worked with him.
Yeah, I feel like we've been having to do this more and more just about every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we get older, people start passing. So, condolences to them. And speaking of dirt racing, well, we've been at it. I've been at Kankakee twice now. Been at Shady Hill, I think 4 times. Which one was practice. Kicked things off with the Mars race at Kankakee. Had an absolutely stellar field. I think the 24 cars came out, and I looked at Kevin DeYoung because they have a hot pit there, and I told him, I don't think there's a car out here that could lose this race. I mean, it was that packed, of talent. So that was a good race, but truthfully, it was almost like too good because guys were just set up good and good passing for the first 20-25 laps, and then Michael Long got out front and just kind of ran away with it, and he's pretty much been on rails since last year. And then made my way back last Friday, the 10th for that dust storm, 16th, excuse me. Survived the dust storm, and as I know you did up at Grundy. So Shady Hill, we kicked things off with the White Lightning. Matt Baker set fast time. And then Bradley Jamieson ended up winning that race. And then Frank Marshall's been on a tear there, winning 2 of 3 modified features so far this year. But yeah, it's been a good start to the season at both places. I know Kankakee was caught up for like 2 weeks, I think, on rain and have had to adjust their schedule a little bit. But Dirt World is chugging right along, and I know you've been at the racetrack too, Chris. Finally made it to Plymouth, I saw.
Yeah, finally got to Plymouth on Saturday. We're going to get into it here in a little bbit with our interview, but yeah, Grundy's got their schedule stacked. So this is the first Saturday I had open to go to Plymouth.
Probably the last 2.
No, I think I'm open this weekend too. Yeah, they had I think 5,000 to win, 75 lap street stock spectacular. That was a really good race. There was some bonehead moves that you'll have, but see who Jeff Gaines brought home the win. I know he was racing pretty hard with Steve Stacy and Austin Maynard and Logan Maynard. It all made it up there at some point, and yeah, it's I don't think it was ever kind of like that. I knew Gaines was going to be, the guy to beat. I feel like anytime he shows up, he is. But yeah, there was he had to work for it the entire race. Whoever was on his bumper was making him work. And then Ryman Castle brought home the Hornet 50 lap. I forgot how much money to win. And that was pretty good too. Him and Haley Bowl were just like side by side the entire, felt like, second half of the race. Never really got one able to get around the other, and they raced pretty clean side by side, lap after lap, that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, glad to finally be out there again. Stepping back a day though, probably the highlight of my weekend was Larry Schuler just absolutely dominating the super late model race at Grundy. I feel kind of bad because I was actually telling a friend of mine at work today about, Blake Brown broke a control arm in qualifying, had to go back to the race shop to weld it back together because nobody in the pits had one. Made it back, got it all back together just in time for the feature, and he was running away with it. I want to say he had maybe half a straightaway over Danta and Weltmeyer and Hoffman and Baker, which would have been amazing in itself, except for Larry had about half a straightaway on Blake.
Was it like that dust storm was like a time warp back to the 90s?
Yeah, I
must
feel
have been
like it.
right?
Or I guess the 80s because he's painted, Blake Brown's painted up like the mellow yellow
That
Days
was
of Thunder
90,
car.
I think
92.
Okay, I was young, whatever,
But yeah, that was, little kid me just enjoyed seeing that. I know Dad would have enjoyed seeing that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, it's kind of funny because for several years, Dad kind of had this bad luck streak. Anytime he would talk to Larry before the races, Larry would end up wrecking the car. So Dad just stopped talking to him before the races. And last week, Larry had practiced, but he didn't qualify, didn't race. So I thought, you know what? Curse be damned, I'm gonna go see what happened. So he was unloading Ricky's car. I said, "Hey, Larry, what happened last week?" I said the motor had a miss. He didn't want to pressure it until they got it sorted out. And I said, "All right, cool. Well, glad you're back." So when he pulls up to Victory Lane, I'm leaving the car. I said, "Well, I think the Goodacre curse is over."
Yeah, I think he got it sorted out.
Yeah, well, it wasn't missing off on Friday night this week.
No, that was just, and like you see sometimes you'll get the car that starts on the front row and gets a good jump, and then everybody else in the field is racing each other, and that car can just run away and hide. But Larry wasn't running away and hiding. Blake was hunting him down. Larry was just that dominant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, good to see. Since we're on the topic of Grundy, that's the theme of the episode. Not really previewing, I guess. Recapping the season to date and looking forward to the rest of the schedule. As we mentioned, doing this a little bit later. But Steve Bechtel, promoter of the Grundy County Speedway, frequent flyer here on the show, stops by to talk about the rest of the season, everything going on there, and it kind of gives us a lowdown on the big news of the off season around here, the NASCAR Home Track deal that they were able to work out. So I think without further ado, what do you say we bring him in? All right. Well, welcome to the show, Steve Bechtel.
All right. Well, welcome back on. Steve Bechtel, promoter, announcer over at the Grundy County Speedway in Morris, Illinois, right off Highway 47. Welcome back.
That was the worst John Stark impersonation I think I've ever heard.
I'm not John Stark. I'm Basement Brian. Well, last episode I was intern promoter.
Wanted poster, by the way.
Yeah, right. So last episode I was intern promoter, and this week I'm back to host interview duties. So we get Steve Bechtel on tonight to talk about the 2025 season. Sorry, just had dinner. My cat's got my tongue a little bit here.
Yeah, beer hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, right. Still tripping over my words. Getting ready for the 2025 season, which has already kicked off. We've seen let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 events, 5 events go. And so how's the season been going so far? Early this just a month in.
It feels like we've already done 20 events, if that if that's any indication. No, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure, being on with you. But no, it's been a good start to the season. Busy. It's so funny when you talk to kind of like longtime fans of Grundy County Speedway, and they're like, man, they used to race. Their website literally used to say racing Fridays through Labor Day weekend, and that was it. I mean, they ran, their 18 nights a year, and to think that we pretty much have doubled that schedule. I think 37 events on the calendar this year, which is kind of cool, but a lot of work. And yeah, we got 4 or 5, under our belt. We got the Spring Classic in with some traveling series, the Big 8 Series, Mid-American Racing Series, an enduro under our belt, and then 3 nights of our new NASCAR Weekly Advanced Auto Series. So yeah, I think we've even had some divisions that haven't even made their debut yet. So wow. Finally got the Crown Vics in there last week, but yeah, when you run 10, 12 divisions, it's like I said, it makes for a long season. But no, things have been going great, guys.
Good. Well, let's talk about the big news this year, picking up the NASCAR Weekly sponsorship. What is that all about?
Yeah, that is something that our general manager Joe DeBello had been kind of looking at for a while, and I think what sealed the deal was going to the racing promoters deal that they do in February around Daytona, and he finally got to talk one-on-one with NASCAR representatives, and he pulled the trigger and said this is something that we want to do, and lots of different things. It's obviously we're still new, trying to learn some of the intricacies of everything. A lot of different things. Obviously, the insurance is incredible for the drivers. I mean, that's a plus that nobody ever thinks about that.
Right.
Maybe the older drivers do that have a business and families. You get some younger guys, and they're like, I don't, they're invincible. They don't care about insurance, but it's nice to, to have that insurance. Just the I don't want to say recognition, but just kind of being partnered with NASCAR to be on their website. We've been, mentioned on, a lot of places that we normally wouldn't be mentioned. Somebody just sent me a clip from, Pete Pistone. They do their NASCAR show every day on Sirius Radio, and they've mentioned us a couple times in the last couple weeks because we're a NASCAR Home Track now. So that's good to, like I said, kind of integrate ourselves with the NASCAR. We kind of help them. I think on some levels they help us. Just it's, believe it or not, as long as we've been into racing, it seems like a no-brainer to know this, but I think there's a lot of NASCAR fans out there that don't even realize that short tracks, in the area exist. They just, they go to NASCAR, and that's all. They go to the big tracks, and they, when they realize that, wow, there's tracks, sanctioned tracks that we can go to. So we've had a lot of people excuse me, reach out, call, ask about camping. They've never been there. I saw you're a NASCAR track. We want to come, check it out. So that's been cool. Obviously the big thing is also with the points. You kind of get into a year-long point battle with all the other NASCAR sanctioned tracks, which there's close to 50 of them out there. So we're kind of, racing against all the other tracks and national, regional, state points for our top 4 divisions. So that's kind of cool. They contribute money to the point fund for those, our tier, 1, 2, 3, and 4 divisions. Man, just a lot of, something that, you notice it, Chris, because you were out there, and I'm surprised that we really haven't seen more on Facebook, but we get, different product deals also through NASCAR now. So, Wheelin is one of their sponsors. So we were, given a certificate basically to be able to get product from Wheelin, and we went with the track lights. And it was weird. We finally got them up and going, got them delivered, got them working, and to see the, not only the rotating yellow lights on caution, but a green light. I mean, I've been going to Grundy forever, and I don't remember them ever having a green light. It was just red and yellow. So that was kind of weird to see the green light out during racing and stuff. But just the signage, just kind of making the track look a little bit more, spiffy with all the banners, the welcome race fans. I mean, all that stuff. It's just kind of like a lot of different things that kind of, I think, give us a little bit more, credibility with certain things and being mentioned here, and, getting other drivers that could come to our, we've already had guys come to our track that, from different states. We had a pure stock guy come. We've had a super late model guy that, coming down to get NASCAR points because they can get points wherever. So now a guy that races in Iowa, Hawkeye Downs Speedway, he's going to come race with us on their off nights to try to boost his, overall point deal. So that's been kind of cool as well.
Good. So expanding the presence, right? That's what it's all about at this point, and continuing to grow the sport. And I think the mutual relationship there is, you guys get the support from NASCAR, insert whatever NASCAR insult you want to right there, NASCAR this, NASCAR that. And you guys kind of farm. You're a farm system, right? So when talented guys come through, they race at the NASCAR track and they build points, much like the guy from Hawkeye Downs, and they end up working their way up the NASCAR ladder. Maybe we'll catch this guy on a Saturday or Sunday, on TV.
Yeah, I mean, there could be guys racing with us right now. I mean, we've all seen the feeder system where, Mark Martin and all those guys that kind of worked their, Matt Kenseth, who were running late models and the Arco series. And, you're watching them and thinking, man, this guy's pretty good, or I enjoy watching them, and not really realizing, 5 years from now, he's going to be in the truck series, or he's going to be, Xfinity or Cup. So, yeah, you don't see it now per se, but yeah, it'd be pretty cool to know, 5 years from now, maybe one of our drivers could move up the ladder, and, he won the, the state, he won the regional, maybe the national NASCAR deal, and kind of, that helped him, it just the NASCAR name puts a lot of credibility with certain things. Yeah. So if you go to a sponsor, again, I've talked to drivers that say, yeah, I've had, sponsors reach out because, and we've seen it at the track ourselves, to where people are like, oh, you guys are a NASCAR track now. We want to advertise. And, you kind of are like, you couldn't advertise last year, but, like I said, the NASCAR name, there's so many people that are just kind of, I don't want to say fair weather fans, but are kind of just on the cusp, and they know, a little bit. They know they like racing. They come there once or twice, or a business may know, yeah, there's a track in Morris and right off of 47, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, did you hear Grundy's, NASCAR sanction now, and this and this, and I think it opens people's eyes a little bit more to, where they want to, maybe partner up with us. And like you said, it's all about making a bigger footprint, just more people, seeing who we are. People that never heard of us are like, oh, let's check out this track. So yeah, we're hoping to be able to build off of that.
Yeah. Well, a good way to build is lowering the price. And this Friday night, you guys got $5 family fun night. Is that the price of admission? $5 this Friday?
Yeah, we did this last year, and we wanted to try to give people a chance. More so that have maybe never been there before, or their neighbors are like, yeah, I'll get out there one day, or their coworkers, you got to come out to Grundy. Yeah, we'll get there. And it's kind of hard to say no to a $5, kind of ticket price. So we did it last year. We noticed that it really, it kind of kick-started our summer, because it was like, I think a couple weeks later than it is now, but it really just all of a sudden, that night was huge, and it just kind of started the momentum of, school's out, so now, people are more likely to come to the track. It's hard to, come to the track in May. I get it, when kids are up at 6 a.m, going to school and stuff like that. But yeah, that it really, we try to monitor all the little things that we do to see what worked and what doesn't work, and that was definitely a home run, and we knew we wanted to put it on the calendar again this year. And like I said, give fans an opportunity to, it's for our regulars too. They'll take a $5 night. They'll come on out. But like I said, for all those people that have been on the fence and never been there before, or God, I haven't been there in years, I want to get back, and then they see $5 night, and like I said, it's a good opportunity to get some fans back, some new fans, etc.
Yeah. Well, as we continue to get this thing rolling here with summer coming up, it looks like you've got quite the action-packed June with the Frank Welch Memorial, a figure-8 school bus, which was huge for you guys last year. You got the on-track autograph night, which is always fun for the fans. You got a double feature night, June 20th. You got Kids Night, June 27th. You got Big A Late Model, Chicagoland Showdown, June 28th, before you head into Fair Week. So let's talk a little bit about the month of June.
Yeah, that's how long you guys got. That's that's a fun month. I mean, that's like I said, it has a little bit of everything for everybody. Obviously, for close to 4 or 5 years, we really wanted to put an X in the infield, and the former regime kind of didn't. I get it. It's a costly expense to be able to do that, but finally it gained some traction. We were able to put it in last year, and the results were just phenomenal with the fans, the amount of crowd that we had, the excitement, the amount of buzz, the talking, people, again, putting a footprint down. So many, what I call kind of like derby fans that kind of just, I'll come to a demolition derby, I'll come to figure-8 school buses. Late models, maybe not. At least we got a bunch of people that were really not familiar with our racetrack that come out, 2-3 times a year. And, we try to partner it with other racing. So, they can see what they came to see, but they can also see some racing. So, yeah, June, like I said, a busy month with the figure-8 school bus races, on-track autograph, as you said. Hopefully Chris is busy getting a whole bunch of driver cards done.
Oh, he is. I get some emails too.
So that's just something that, truth be told, we kind of took that from Illiana. That's, they had done a night like that. And Rockford had kind of done that too on like some of their bigger races, at the beginning of the year, end of the year. And we incorporated that, easily 10 years ago, but it's such a cool deal just to get all the, the kids on the track. And, a lot of times people don't make it to the pits, if the races get over 10:30, it's a long day for people. Sometimes they don't get to go and see the cars. They don't get to see the drivers. They don't get the handouts, the Frisbees, we're talking about the Zolod's 33 team, the flashlights, the hats. I mean, there's so many different teams that give out different things. So that's cool. The double feature thing is, I grew up at Raceway Park, and some of my favorite races there when they did the Monza Classics, whether it was Twin 50s, Twin 25s, 330s, they even did 300s at the end of the year, a few of those times. And I just like the double feature concept. So to be able to do that is cool. And, again, you got to mention Kids Night, the stuff that Cheryl Wren does with her Cheryl Wren, for kids racing.
Yep.
And all that stuff. Anytime you can get, 100 plus brand new bikes to give away to kids, I mean, that's a cool deal. And the candy drop, and sometimes I've had kids come up to me and talk about the candy thing, and I'm like, yeah, that was cool, we had a lot of candy, right? And they're like, yeah, but it was cooler that I got to go on the racetrack, that.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's just a little bit of everything. We got some Fridays, we got some Saturdays. You mentioned the Big 8 deal at the end of the month, right before Fair Week. That's a lot of people know we've partnered up with David Deary for a couple events every year. He helps us with the bus races. The Night of Thrills. Obviously, we bring his series in, the Big 8 series, a couple times a year. And then we also partner up on the Bahama Bracket Nationals in October. But he really wanted to kind of make the Big 8 race in June kind of special. And he's bringing back the Chicagoland Showdown name, which was kind of popular at Illiana. I know he talked to Greg McCarnes, and with his blessing, you can do that. And he's talking about getting a pretty cool trophy for that event, and wants to turn it into a Rockford reunion. There's a lot of fans out there that still a little bit lost without their home track. So, inviting them all out for that day, they can, mix and mingle with some of their, friends that they haven't seen in a couple of years, drivers. And one thing that you didn't mention is that same day, the return of the Midnight Ride.
Yeah.
Which you guys,
what is that?
Yeah. If you're not familiar with that, named that, originally the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. And if you don't know that story, Google
I know that
it.
story.
I won't get into it. But basically, it's they did it at Rockford with their Roadrunner cars, which were kind of like our street stocks, and they do a race in total darkness. They put big lights on the roofs of each car. You get one light, and they basically race with no track lights. And
these guys are probably going to put LED bars on there and cheat. You got a whole headlight set. That thing.
I've seen videos. Unfortunately I've never seen it in person. It was always like their 4th of July weekend where I was always at one of our home tracks up here. And but to see some of the videos, I expect carnage, and then you're watching the video and you're like, how are these guys racing? It's like they're not wrecking their, stuff. Thank goodness for transponder scoring as well, because I don't really know how that would work. I think he's a little undecided on what divisions. He was talking about maybe trying to get enough old Roadrunner guys and hobby stocks if they have their cars. If not, there was talk about maybe the Sixers and stuff like that. But that's something where David, Deary is totally in his element and really enjoys doing stuff. So he thought, we're going to be there with the Big 8 Series anyways. Let's do a Rockford, Speedway kind of reunion. And he wanted to bring back the Midnight Ride. So, awesome. I want you to circle every date on your calendar, but if you can only get out there a couple times in June, June 28th would probably be one you definitely want to circle.
If I can make it, I just want to be there to hear you announce that race. But
I'll tell you what,
I got the 28 cars in the lead. I don't know.
Yeah, if you make it, I'll tell you what, I'll invite you up. I'll have you come up there, and we'll me and you will get on the mic and we'll do it together if you want.
All right. I mean, I won't be taking any pictures.
Yeah, at least for that one. Yeah, your pictures will look like my video insert there over in the top corner. That's what all the pictures will look like.
We're really gonna find out how well the flashes do.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's and then we go right into the fair that next week.
Yeah, that's a big week for you guys with 1, 2, 3, 4 events. Well, I guess
5. 5 days of racing, or 5 days of the fair, I should say. Obviously a big night of fireworks that the city of Morris sponsors, and all the people come out to track to watch it. Power Wheels racing, which sounds a little funny sometimes, but
that's a good hit.
Yeah, the deal with Cheryl Wren, she got the old Power Wheels, the old Lightning McQueen type Power Wheels, and has close to 30 of them. And we got drivers to sponsor them, and she painted them and got decals to match their bigger brother counterpart. And so we do races with those, with the kids on the track. We got racing the 4th of July that Friday with the 76 lapper for our super late models. Demolition Derby on Saturday, and then the Stars and Stripes 250 Enduro on Sunday. So it's a jam-packed week, definitely. There you go.
Yeah, so you take a little bit of time off and come back with the Chicago White Sox night. You guys got anybody lined up to sign autographs this year?
We were still working with Josh and Matt Lee. They're the ones that helped us put that together last year. And if you're old like me, you remember the name Ron Kittle, who was American League Rookie of the Year and hit a lot of dingers over there on the south side. He was out there, and he just loved it. He was great with the fans, talking to them, mingling, signing autographs. They gave us a ton of stuff to give away between hats and the rally towels and ticket vouchers and stuff like that. So I know we'll have a lot of giveaway stuff. We're still waiting to see if we're gonna be able to get a player out there, but that was a cool deal last year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm sure they got plenty of tickets to give away right now.
Well, you can't be good at
No, they can't give them away.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
No, we appreciate what they do. We're you guys are from Indiana, but I would imagine you maybe follow
we
some of
follow
the Chicago sports, and
I'm head first all the way in on the Bears. We're
Yeah.
five years in a row off-season champs, just waiting for a win during the regular season.
Yep.
Blackhawks have about the same record, Bryce.
We've won the drafts with the
Yeah.
Blackhawks. They got 97 picks, in the last 5 years, and we're just hoping for that to take off. Excited about the Bears.
Yeah.
I'm a Cubs fan, so they've been playing very well, but
Just swept the Sox.
Mhm.
that's a good thing.
And
all you White
just
Sox
saying,
fans out
Cubs
there.
are undefeated in November.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you find your microphone yet, Chris?
So after that, you got a Sixers special, and then followed up with actually a date that I am hell bent on getting there, but actually our father, Ron Goodacre Memorial. So that's a 44 lap super late, which his favorite number and his favorite class, I would guess to say,
Yeah.
So we'll certainly try to get out there for that. And then
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say we kind of worked with your brother on that one. We've kind of had a lot of the same memorial races. Just they're traditional to people. I get it, but we kind of wanted to start to maybe rotate some stuff.
Yeah.
And the Ron Goodacre one is actually, truth be told, we kind of dropped the ball on that and probably should have done it a little bit sooner.
Just
but
like that.
We knew we were going to make some changes this year, and we knew we wanted to maybe kind of add, instead of doing the same one for 8 years, 10 years, 6 years, whatever it may be, we kind of wanted to be able to celebrate people, even if it's just a one-time deal. We know it means a lot to family and friends, and we talked to Chris, about his favorite number, and I kind of knew that from all the lap sponsorships that Goodacre Photography always had lap 44. In his
12,
division
40,
was always a super late model. So we wanted to put that on the schedule. We wanted to work with the family, which obviously we did, and it kind of works out good because you guys got another one, I guess, the next night, right?
Next night at Plymouth. Yep.
So that was important for us to make that work for you guys, to where if you had family coming in or friends, they could come to Grundy on Friday, they could go to Plymouth on Saturday, and just really make that a cool weekend about the Goodacre family and all the contributions they've done in racing.
Yeah, he was certainly a fan first of racing and scorer second, although some might say he was a better scorer than he was a fan.
All I got to say is Shady Hill, I think, has kind of, at my suggestion, unofficially named their transponder system in honor of Dad hand scoring.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
See that.
They held out as long as they could, and I think by the second or third week in 22, they had made the decision to get a transponder system. Because it's not just Dad, Elmer Steinbeck and those types that, the first Bettenhausen was hand scored on a popcorn box, stories like that, that's a breed, that's a generation that is on its way out, so it's cool that you guys are going to honor him. It's cool that Plymouth is going to honor him and do races for that. I'm sure he would certainly enjoy that, so that's definitely on my list to get to this year.
Yeah, now we just got to leave it up to you guys. You might have to fight who's going to throw the green flag, because I don't think I can fit both of you guys in the booth with Kuntz to throw the green
That's
flag.
right.
But
He can sit out that race. We'll take it.
there you go.
Just don't be like Michael Waltrip and drop it, all right?
And drop it. Yeah.
Rule number 1: don't drop the flag.
Yeah, you had one job, and
Wait, didn't Greg drop the flag a week or two ago?
he might have been in practice. I don't remember.
I think it was a practice.
Can we get some green fireworks for the memorial green flag? like they did for the promoters, yellow.
Oh, for them. Don't get me.
Yeah.
Hey, be nice. That's our new partner. First you're talking about the Sox. Now you're talking about NASCAR. You're killing me, Brian. Like I said, just looking forward to it. Being able to kind of get you guys on the track for a family photo, and like I said, whatever we can do to make that night a little bit more special. Putting some of your family in the pace car maybe for the national anthem, holding the American flag, and like I said, throwing the green flag, presenting the trophy to the winner. I remember ordering trophies. I remember talking to our girl Lori, who's worked with us since since I've been there in 2011, and I said I need something like camera affiliated. So she got I don't even know if you, Chris, you're in there every week.
I saw it.
So we got like a cool kind of like camera type thing for the trophy and stuff like that. So yeah, we were excited to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm glad you're gonna be able to make it out there for that, Brian.
Yeah, I might have to use a vacation day, but I'll be there on the 18th.
So does this mean your mom's actually going to get the night off, Chris, in the photo booth, or she'll just come out for pictures and you put her back to work?
She don't come to Grundy on Friday. She's a working lady still.
She does when Julie needs a night off.
Yeah.
We might talk her into coming out that night, and Julie just have a second person in the booth.
Yeah.
There you go.
I put her to work on Saturdays at Shady Hill. Got to make her earn that retirement.
Ever since Mom and Julie met, it's just those two are trouble when they get together.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, moving forward from our Father's Memorial Race, you got Tuner Fest that Saturday the 19th. You got Back to School night there at the end of July. Great night to get backpacks. No Cheryl Wren. We'll not hold them for you.
Yes. Do not call Cheryl. Do not message her. Do not text her and say, "Can you hold me a backpack?" Because she will not do it.
No holds. No holds.
No. Lucky for us, they're never. It seems like we never run out. That's like she always has plenty. I know in the past she's had a couple of those years. She's had some leftovers where she's donated them to a couple of the school districts in the area, which is kind of cool to be able to give back to the schools. But yeah, she, I don't know where Cheryl finds the time. She's the only person I know that, retired from racing and is, 10 times busier than she was before. Now she's, half owner of the Mid-Am Racing Series. Yeah. So she was in Hawkeye Downs last week. She'll be at Madison this Friday. Like I said, just her and her daughter Alexis, what they do with the bikes, and they go out and they get the money, they get the donations, they get the bikes. But man, you should see them the week or two leading up to it, because a lot of times people will just donate the money, instead of going out and getting a bike. And you should see, I'll drive by her house sometimes and I'll just see like 12 boxes of the bike, and they don't come to, you got to put them together, and she'll just have like assembly line days where she's there and she's putting all the bikes, and then it's a matter of getting 100 bikes from her house to the racetrack.
Right. Well, she's got an empty trailer now.
Yeah, there you go. And and then it's as soon as that's done, it's like all of a sudden it's another assembly line. She has a whole room in her house that's just crayons and pencils and backpacks, and she's assembling backpacks and stuff like that. So thankful to have somebody like that helping the racetrack and doing doing stuff like that. You mentioned Tuner Fest, the drifting, standsdownlow.com. They were going to be here a couple weeks ago, and then another group basically staged a show the next day, which was kind of like a conflict for them, and so they decided to move it to that July date. But I was there last year when they did the first one, and it's something, man, to see those, because they got like amateurs, but then they got like these pro teams that show up in like semis, and I mean they're big time, and the amateurs are exciting to watch, but man, when you get a couple of those pro teams out there next to each other, and it looks like synchronized swimming when they're out there doing stuff. So it's it's just crazy to think of how many double header weekends we have, triple header, the fair, and so like I said, it's 5 years ago, we didn't do bus races. We didn't do drifting. We didn't do enduros. We didn't do trailer races. We didn't do the Bahama brackets. It's so cool to
3 classes
have,
on Friday night. That's what it was.
Yeah, 4 when they added the pure stocks, but even then it was like that's all we had was 4. And like I said, the midgets at the Midwest Pavement midgets that are gonna basically gonna be our home. Their home track will be with us this year. They haven't even ran yet. The Crown Vics, like I said, just came out last week. I think we had 16 or 17 of them, which is really starting to
it's a growing class.
Yeah. So
I've been to Kankakee twice this year, and they've had 20 Crown Vics plus. Now Hippenburg does rent a handful out, but I think they got more full-time drivers. And side note, the first night I was there, you might get a kick out of this. Not that you're a real Santa Fe guy, but because of your tie to the memorabilia show, maybe you'll get a kick out of this. But I'm standing there in the middle shooting, and this older gentleman, I don't know who it is, just hangs out in the infield from time to time, and comes over to me and asks, do you shoot? Do you write? I'm like, not really, I just shoot. He goes, do you know Stan? I go, yeah, I know Stan. Who doesn't know Stan Kalzinski? Involved in the racing world, right? And he goes, well, you gotta tell him that this dude right here, man, it's oh God, what's his name? Hang on a second, I gotta look it up. I'm not gonna mess it up.
Us killing the story, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Jeff Elder from Santa Fe. I guess he won some championships at Santa Fe back in the 80s and 90s or something. And here he is, 70-something years old, running the Crown Vic class at Kankakee.
No, that's awesome for these guys to be able to come out of retirement, or they haven't done it in forever. And like I said, it's racing is time consuming, and the higher up you go, the worse it is. But to be able to put a Crown Vic together, not saying that they're effortless, but like I said, you can put a Crown Vic together, pretty easier than some of the other divisions. You can get parts still in the junkyard like you could in the old days, and it's nice to see these guys that haven't. We had that. I mean, not quite as old and not the same story, but we had Eddie Legui. He was a former street stock champion, and moved up to mid-am, and then he was kind of done. I think maybe the cost kind of got to him. He started, grandkids started popping up, and he wanted to do more family stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can get into a pretty affordable class. They only run 10 times a year instead of 20, 25, and it's just great to see some of these guys returning to action in a class like the Crown Vics.
Yeah. So moving forward from July, we're looking at August. You got a Super Cup special. Looking at Jeremy on that one. Make sure you're there for it. August 1st. Put it on your calendar.
I think that one is on the calendar.
Put it on there, S4. And then the biggest night, I would guess to say for your fans, is actually the 5-0 night, Figure 8 Trailer Race of Destruction, Midwest Legends Asphalt Series, plus Limited Lates, Mid-Ams, and Sixers. That's Saturday, August 2nd. I know last year was an absolute banger as far as the crowd goes, and I imagine the show too.
Yeah, that was. I love the buses, and to be able to see what the buses do, and to see the crowd engage and how excited they are. But for my money, I mean that trailer race was just insane. The bus again. I love the buses, but you race 12, 14 buses, and you never know what's going to happen. Race is over in X amount of laps. I mean, when you start 24, 26 of these trailers, 25 of them. I mean, it's winner take all basically. It's not a 20 lap race to where there's still 14 guys running at the end. It's basically last driver standing, and you're going to see you're going to see 23 of them kind of pummeled. So yeah, that was a cool deal. I mean, our August is again, it's just we don't let our foot off the gas pedal. That's a Saturday. We got another Saturday. Midwest Tour is they moved their date from their traditional. It's always going to rain date in July. They moved it to August, hoping for a little bit better weather. That's going to be a big one for us. And I don't believe on our schedule, on our racing schedule, and it probably should be. I need to add that. But also the week after that, the 23rd, we are having a rodeo. So
Rhino Cowboy.
Well, we are the Grundy County Fair. A lot of people forget that. But we are the Grundy County Fair, and the Speedway is on the property for the fairgrounds. So looking forward to seeing what that all entails. I've never been to a rodeo. I think maybe back in the day, Grundy used to have them, but that's going to be the 23rd. So that'll be another, double header, triple header. Again, there's so many things that go on out there that's not racing related. So we'll race Friday. Saturday will be the rodeo, and then I think that next Sunday is like a horse auction. So, which, again, if that's
these horses lost in the rodeo, we're going to auction them off.
No, quite the contrary. I was talking with the guy. That I don't think it was last year. It might have been 2 years ago, and they did a horse auction, and they sold. It was like $1.2 million worth of horses were sold that day. And I'm like, wow! I didn't, how many horses were there and what they were worth, and it's just crazy to think about that. And then, before you know it, we're Labor Day weekend, triple header, Hall of Fame stuff. We're working on something for the 30th. It hasn't been announced yet, August 30th. We have an enduro scheduled tentatively that day, but we're working on something a little bit bigger, and we hope to be able to announce that soon. But yeah, then
awesome.
Before you know it, you're into September, and again, how many fans used to do the night of features, and that was it. That was the last,
back to school
Memorial Day weekend was it. And I was, thinking about that last year. I'm like, man, we, now the week after we got the Night of Thrills, and then we got a Bettenhausen, and then our Bettenhausen went to a 2-day Bettenhausen, and then we got the Bahama Brackets, which is like a 3-day event, and then we got the Goblin 250, and it's like, my Atlanta, when's the off season?
Yep.
Off season's in December. I think I learned last year.
Yeah, after the banquet,
Right.
Yeah, for 1 week.
Yeah, and then before you know it, it's like, Joe DeBello's calling you saying, hey, we're on a NASCAR track, so get busy. So I will say this has definitely been the busiest off season that I've ever had, being involved in racing with so much. There's so much that just goes into, a regular, opening a track year to year with schedules and getting stuff ready and, working with the advertisers and rules and everything else. But then you throw NASCAR into the mix, and true to Joe DeBello wisdom, he's always like, Steve, it'll be easier in year 2. That's his, every time I talk to him about NASCAR or something I don't understand, or, I was talking with Caitlin from NASCAR, and then I was talking with Emma from NASCAR. They have you talk to so many different people, and his answer every time is that it's going to be easier in year 2, Steve. Just remember that. So thanks for the confidence.
It's good logic, but I feel like every year we're adding something new for the first time.
Hard to get to year 2 when you're always stuck in year 1.
Yeah, well, he meant with NASCAR, so I get that, and there was a lot of unknowns trying to explain.
Year two NASCAR will be easier, but then we'll throw something else in it.
Yeah. We might have rodeos on the same night we have races or something. We'll try to incorporate that. Set up a boxing ring in the infield, and we'll have a full night for you, Chris.
That all depends on which spotter radios are on the right frequency.
Oh, Jesus.
You're not lying.
Oh, man. Maybe we get Workmeister out too.
Oh my, yeah, because it's been a while since we had somebody throw their helmet into the grandstand.
Yeah.
And one other thing too, real quick, that I want to mention, and you keep saying the Pure Stock special and Mid-Am special, stuff like that. We decided this year that we've always had a special for the drivers. Usually it's extra laps, a little extra money, and stuff like that. And in our ever constant trying to get the program done sooner, get people out of there quick, went from the 8:00 start time to 7:30, cutting intermission down. I mean, we really want to be efficient as possible. So we kind of have given up some of the things that we used to do that the drivers and fans liked, and we're bringing that back this year for the specials is out of car introductions, which doesn't seem like much. We're going to schedule it to where they're the first feature after intermission. So it's like, while intermissions, you're in line getting that last beer of the night or a slice of Aurelio's pizza or whatever. We're going to be getting those cars on. There you go. I have to at least bring up Aurelio's twice per interview. So bonus points if I can mention the Pope. So But yeah, we want to be able to do that. We always do it, obviously, for the super late models during the Bettenhausen. But we listen to the feedback from the teams, and they just like at least once a year being able to get those cars on the front stretch and out of car introductions. The fans get to see them. They see the fans. They wave. They cheer. So we're going to do that. Every time there's a quote unquote special listed on the website, we're going to do out of car introductions with those guys and girls. Sorry. And like I said, we think that's something that, again, we're always looking to shave time off the program. But again, if we can kind of, do that where intermissions kind of taking place and the cars are lined up and we go right into it, it's something that we kind of felt was worth it to do because it's like so many drivers just, they want out of car introduction. So we try to do what we can for them.
It does make it easier to get that really cool out of the back of the base truck shot.
That too, or just any, hey, how many pictures do you got of these guys with their helmets off? Unless they're a feature winner, you can get the guy that finishes 16th every night, and at least with his helmet off, shaking the promoter's hand and stuff like that, or well, not the promoter, that's me, shaking the general manager's hand. I'll be up in the booth. But
before you get in your car, you got to go all the way up there and say hi to Steve.
Yes, by the time you get back on the track.
So yeah, like I said, that takes us through Labor Day, and again, it's like I said, September. I'm sure you got the schedule there, Brian. We got a lot of stuff going on still the rest of the year.
Oh yeah. So you wrap up the big car kind of race season there with Bettenhausen Memorial, the weekend of the 12th and 13th. Someone had a typo on your website. And then you got the first weekend of October there. You got the Morris Lions Club Car Show Swap Meet, which I don't know if we've ever been to that or even take pictures, but it's a yearly thing, so they must be doing something right. And then October 9th through 12th, what do you guys do? Load in Thursday, practice Friday, qualify, and practice Saturday, run some foo-foo races or something, and then Saturday's the only one I went to, but it was kind of abbreviated, maybe, and kind of did some stuff.
Well, if you've been to Grundy, as long as rain doesn't play a part in it, I mean, they run, depending on the brackets, I mean, they'll run like, 20 heat races.
Yeah, I lost
Saturday.
count last year. I just kept snapping photos.
And it was our first year doing it. So we're trying to grow the car count. I mean, we had over 100 cars, which is great. I mean, we'd love to get another 30, 40 to where, we can get to that fourth bracket. We only had 3 of them. And, when you run the Bahama Bashes, as they call them, which is like a last chance race before the last chance race. But car count wise, it was kind of didn't make sense to do because everybody was pretty much going to be locked in. So we kind of took some of the races off the schedule. But yeah, like I said, we're hoping to add another 30, 40 cars to that. And like I said, go to the 4 brackets and run 25 races on Saturday and run foo-foos and last chances and 6 feature, 650 lappers or whatever it is on Sunday. And then the week after, Goblin 250 Enduro. Yep. And then they let you breathe for a couple weeks, and then it's banquet time.
Oh, yeah. It's like 2. It's not even a couple.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, before the brackets, I'm ordering, trophies, and I need 60 trophies and 20 plaques, and, what food are we getting from the caterer, and this, and it's, it's long, but, man, I enjoy it, so that's a good thing.
That's important in racing, is to enjoy it. Too often, we get to July and August and guys are points racing and beating each other up, and we're through probably 10,000 photos, and you've talked your vocal cords out of your throat by then, with the announcement and all the promotion that you do, and so racing takes a lot to get it done, and in some places it might pay well, but for the most part, it's heavily volunteer and just for the love of it. So we certainly appreciate you, Steve, for sharing that and helping us and the area keep racing alive, really. So before you head out, do you have a one positive to share or a question you want to ask us? You're always good.
All right, don't do that.
Sorry, click. We're done.
Yeah, no, I usually you guys give me questions ahead of time, and I got something
Brian was scribbling some notes down on his pad last night.
You probably got about as much prep as we did.
There it is.
From Brian this
There
week.
it is.
Hey, is that the popcorn box from the first in the Benthausen?
yeah, right.
You got there with the stuff.
Pretty much.
No, I mean, our positive, I'm just, I guess I'm just thankful that there's so many, people willing to help with certain things and sponsors that are coming on board. And I see, it seems like more and more people, it costs absolutely nothing to just share a post on Facebook, and that goes so far to reach new people and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's great that the fans are kind of, wanting to help us in this journey. And like I said, we, for years, I think we had 5 billboards at the racetrack, and last year we added some more, and this year we added 5 more, and now we're in the process of adding another 5, which is great, and a lot of people don't realize that, like I said earlier, it's a fairground. There's stuff that, barns need to be rebuilt and fixed, and certain, we got those lights, which is kind of cool for the drivers and more of a safety thing. And, not out there yet. It's on order. Actually, I should say back order, but we're getting another scoreboard that, hopefully works a little bit better. That'll be coming out soon. So it's just, there's so much going on, and just, there's so many good people that support us. You mentioned, basically volunteers, and that's kind of, we have so many people, from Joe DeBello and Ron Ingram and Dan Woodward and John Starrick. I mean, if you know Big Daddy and you see him on Facebook, this guy, every time I talk to him, like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm in Indiana. I'm picking up a camper somebody donated for the trailer race, or I'm going to get a bus, that somebody's, selling to us cheap, or I'm going here, I'm going there. And it's just, there's so many, like Joe says, he goes, some of us get paid, some of us are volunteers, but even the ones that get paid, it's almost like you're a volunteer because of what you're doing. And, just like you guys, I mean, you take your pictures and stuff like that. Jeremy, I know you've been, former racer yourself, longtime crew member, stuff like that. I mean, you guys take time out of your, you got jobs and everything else. And Chris, I got to edit 12,964 pictures.
Yeah, right.
Well, nobody told you to take 12,000 pictures. Just because it's there doesn't mean you got to use all the space on the on the drive.
Yeah.
But no, you guys.
My dad, right? This is
so now it's hereditary. Okay. But no, you guys
That's
take.
why I would give him the small cards.
and you do this, and like I said, it's cool to where more and more I'll hear from people like, oh, did you see this person, or did you hear this person, or and half the time they don't get the name right. Oh, the Goodacre Pod, or the the guy that runs Super Cups, and
Sorry, Brian doesn't get the name right either.
Yeah, but
he
I know what
I think I said it
you're
right.
talking about. So that's cool that you guys put the effort into to something like that. So you guys all get to do what you enjoy doing. Jeremy, I'm looking forward to you hopefully having a better night than your opening night last year, if I remember.
You and me both.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you're gonna for the Super Cup special. So I mean, not car introductions. You're gonna probably have 40 frisbees with you at the start finish line. You can throw into the crowd. Stan will probably be announcing from the infield or something. And
Hey, don't tempt us with a good time.
yeah, I almost said it earlier. I guess I'll say it now. But I'm surprised like somebody from their camp doesn't like get a bus for the bus race, because I can imagine Stan in the back like, okay, can we put speakers on this thing? I'm going to announce while this race is going on, because
I mean, we got a couple people on the team that would volunteer to drive it. That's for sure.
yeah, because I know Stan will not pass up a good microphone time, but
an advertisement opportunity.
Yeah.
hey, and you finally got you'd have a piece of equipment that's long enough to get all the sponsors on.
That's true.
You
We wouldn't have to shrink everything.
I mean, you're again, and I can't even tell you who told me the story, but it was just like this. I'm in the pits. I think I'm down like in the pits after the races. I'm down like talking by like where Alex Gay is down there, whatever. And I see, and this kid, he's like walking by with his mom and dad, and he goes, "I get the big car, but how did they get all those sponsors on the little one?" And well, and it was, you guys were there that night, and they were talking about you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like putting a puzzle together on the super late. I can only imagine what it's like on a Super Cup, getting all those stickers on there.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to wrap it and try to get everything laid out just right.
Nice.
Well, yeah, no, a good time. Definitely looking forward to coming out to the racetrack a little bit more this year and having a little better luck than maybe what I did last year.
Yeah. Well, and before you go, I got to say, check us out on the website, GrundySpeedway.com. We're also on Facebook. You can give us a like at Grundy County Speedway. A lot of updates on there. We do the results and the pictures and all of our weekly flyers. We do a share to win contest where you can win some free tickets, which reminds me, I don't think I picked a winner last week, so I need to go do that. And like I said, check us out on social media. And again, if it doesn't cost nothing. So if you can share a flyer, or even if you're not going to make it, if you are making it, or talk to a coworker, talk to your neighbor, talk to somebody, and hey, we love it when new fans come out to the track. And speaking of fans, one last thing, spectator drags. So if you ever wanted to take a lap around the Grundy County Speedway, race your neighbor, race your brother-in-law, race your dad, all you need is a helmet and a pit pass. And spectator drags this Friday night, so you might want to check us out and be able to do that.
Awesome, sounds great. Well, Steve, I mean, as always, thanks for taking some time out to talk to us and getting us all hyped up for the rest of the Grundy County Speedway season this year.
No, always appreciate you guys having me on, and appreciate your show and your dedication to what you guys do. So thank you.
Yep, thanks. We'll see you at the racetrack.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep.
Later, Steve.
See ya. Interview with Grundy County Speedway promoter Steve Bechtel. As always, insightful. A lot of good information, a lot of good digs at the Good Acres. So, I mean, right, Chris, you've been out at Grundy this year. Well, what do you think about things so far and the schedule?
I think I'm going to need a condo out there or something.
Well, I mean, maybe one of those campers they're bringing back for the trailer race or whatever. You just
as long as it's pre-trailer race. I don't want anything post-trailer.
Well, yeah,
race.
I mean, then we might as well just get you a flatbed trailer.
It's going to be a squatter out there. It's my camper now. No.
I mean, hey, NASCAR's got to deal with Camping World or
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
get you something.
Last year for the brackets, John Stark pulled his spare camper out and lent us that for the weekend, and it came in very handy. I think Brian learned his lesson last year coming out for one day of the brackets, and I was out there. I was out there for three.
I learned my lesson
and
by not doing the 3 days like you did.
Yeah, he went home. That was his lesson.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Aaron. I did have to bring him home, so
that's true.
He missed Sunday, but I what was I doing? I did something with Kels that day. I know that.
Your marital duties.
Yes.
Yeah. Being that number one husband, right?
That's it. That's exactly what it was.
I certainly am looking forward to the 3 days this year. My dumbass has decided to go ahead and do the 3 days. And then I think
it might make both of our jobs easier.
That was a weird thing that I just did, but it was like a chill up my back. But anyway.
If you didn't point it out, no one was going to say anything.
Bullshit. somebody would say something. Thanks to all the listeners. But anyway, I've decided to do the 3 days with Chris this year, so I guess.
So, John, we're going to need a bigger camper.
Yeah, scoot over. I think because I've got that Friday through the next week off, so I think my plan is actually to plan a vacation afterwards. So Sunday, hand you my camera and just do the dip. I'll see you next weekend.
I'm done.
Yeah. So I think that's my plan. But I look forward to making it out to Grundy as much as possible. I know Fridays are difficult for me, and Saturdays are probably even harder unless Shady Hill rains out early. So
yeah, didn't we try that once last year and ended up at Plymouth?
Yeah. Shady Hill rained out the night before.
Right. Grundy rained out on the way out. So it was the week my car was getting done with the front axles. Right.
And we took Mom's car to Grandma's to drop off because she was coming back from whatever girls trip they had taken. And we got on, is it 394?
North on 394, yeah.
And you got the call from Stark. It was just one system too many. So then we ended up getting on 8094 and headed east, and we messaged Jay Freet. Shout out Jay Freet. And he said that they were clear skies, and so we went straight to Plymouth.
Right, parked in the next county over.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah,
Dedication.
That's
Dedication.
right. That's right.
I think at that point it's just mental illness.
Well, you know, there's a fine line.
Yeah,
There's a fine line. But man, looking at the schedule here, it is jam-packed. A lot of things coming up this year. A lot of different classes, a lot of different divisions, special events. Just you name it, they pretty much got it.
Concession stand in the infield. Oh, they don't have that one yet.
They got a porta potty.
They got and also the thing about the porta potty. They didn't take it, but you know how it was windy on Friday?
The wind took it.
So yeah, it was on its side.
Oh boy. Hopefully nobody was in it.
Yeah, I mean here's
but Aaron did find a convenient caution and take off sprinting up the track into turn 2 to cross over. Everybody was looking at him all crazy like until they saw what was going on.
I mean, you guys want a concession stand in the infield. I mean, Aurelio's. Was this the second mention?
That was the second mention.
The second mention. You get one right there in the infield. You know, a little pop-up pizza stand. And
they do delivery, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the sauce, right?
It is.
And that's our Aurelio's promo.
And I love Aurelio's. I've been so big on Aurelio's the past 6 months. I've been here in Valpo. I've been hitting the large cheese, well done. It just hits right, man. Just hits right. Anyway,
you
got me on food. You got me on food.
I know we got him on food.
Oh yeah,
that's his weakness: beer and food. I mean, those are his two tangents. They'll end the Bears, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We've already said too.
That's mental illness.
Said too much about. Yeah, we've already said too much about Chicago.
At this point, the Bears kind of causes the food and beer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at least the beer. But yeah, man, a lot going on at the Speedway this year. It was good to hear a little bit of information about how the NASCAR thing developed. I think it's going to be a great thing. Obviously, he said maybe the work and everything might calm down in year 2 with everything that they've.
You at least know what to do.
Set up and
now that we've got the brackets figured out, now we add NASCAR to the mix, and once we get NASCAR figured out, then we'll find something else fun to do next year.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, I haven't, officially, been out for a race night yet, although we were at the track this past week for, some stuff and things.
Oh, yeah. Did you learn anything at that stuff and things?
We learned some stuff and some things. But, I mean, just the signage at the facility is there. It's kind of in your face. It's bright. I mean, the place looks clean, well taken care of. Just... I don't know, breath of fresh air. I think maybe with the NASCAR partnership and
just as long as you're not a dust storm.
Yeah, as long as you're not a dust storm. Man, that was weird. Even here,
that was a breath of not fresh air.
Not even here, because as it was hitting, I was going out to get in the truck to head to the shop and just got it right in the eyes, just walking out the door. Man,
Aaron and I were hunkered down in the truck in the infield, watching the trees, hurricane blowing as there's some pictures I've seen. I want to say it's like from the surface of Mars where the sun is just kind of a bright-ish area in the sky. It's exactly what it looked like. It was all just kind of white and brown haze. And so I'm scrolling on Facebook and I'm seeing people from out here posting about the dust storm. Like, wow, that thing stretched that far.
It's huge.
Yeah.
There's some really cool satellite imagery of it. If you search Facebook or whatever, you'll find it. I was taking pictures in the pits at Kankakee like an idiot.
I mean, you were in a dust storm anyways. You were in a dirt track. How'd you know the difference?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think the irony is Billy Nippenberg Jr. had done a Facebook Live video, talking about the weather. It looks like there might be rain later, but we're probably going to miss it, or it won't be much. And he had apologized for how dusty the track had been the previous week. And then before the night even starts, we get this nasty ass dust storm roll through. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, we were watching. There was a cloud that went north and a cloud that went south. I think we got a little spit blown at us from that cloud that went to the south. But yeah, we never got rained on. We just got dusted.
Yeah. It's one of those again. You've seen everything at that point. I think dust storm, thunderstorms, just about every windstorms, just about everything.
We've seen a lot out there.
Yeah, that does
I
happen.
don't know. I can't remember if we were there that night or if I just heard stories about it. But I know there was one night out there. There was some pretty big storms coming in, and right smack in the middle of the late model feature, they lost power, so they had the original midnight ride.
I was thinking about that while Steve was talking about it.
The Mike White, Dave Weltmeyer era, and all the lights went out, cars were green. So thank God, a testament to the skill of all the drivers that nothing got wrecked when you really, because they didn't have any lights on the car.
Right.
There was that night of feature nights we were there where they had just staged them on the front stretch and it rolled in and knocked the power up, but nobody was driving.
So I remember at one point that there was a really nasty storm because we were all hunkered. It was after they had built all the concession stands.
Paul
under
Pettit
the
was
stands.
telling us it was a tornado scaring us kids.
Well, I remember there was a dust devil that went, or vacuum cleaner that went through and kicked up all the dust from where they used to do the tractor pulls.
Yeah, we won't have that problem anymore. I was going to ask Steve if they were going to throw dirt down in the infield or if they were going to use the horse arena. If they had a horse arena, I assume they have a horse arena.
Well, so for the demo derby, they do throw dirt down on the asphalt. In the front half of the X there, and actually, a week or two ago, I was talking with John Stark, and he said because they put the two safety areas off the X for all of the infield crews to park, and that used up a significant portion of their concrete blocks, so they're going to need some more concrete blocks for the demo derby.
Yeah.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, but a lot of cool things coming up here at the Speedway this year. But what do we have on tap for this weekend, guys?
Let's see. Kankakee is off. It's Memorial Day weekend. Kankakee's off.
Oh yeah, there's some big racing going on this weekend.
I don't know if Farmer City's racing or not. I haven't really
doing their
looked outside.
$5 night. Mid-Ams are the headliner class.
Yep. Shady Hill, we have the Shady Hill 500 F Indianapolis. Come to Shady Hill. Well, I guess you can go to Indy on Sunday, but Saturday night.
Both.
Yeah.
Saturday night we got the Shady Hill 500. One of my favorite events because it's like traffic jam on the Eisenhower or whatever. We start 33 four bangers, 11 rows, 3 wide. It's nuts. It's awesome. And usually by lap 2, it gets easier by lap 2.
They make it that far.
Yeah.
Natural selection.
So it's 500 to win, 400, 300, 200, 100 throughout the field. So Billy and Tammy put on for this. It's a great time, great special for the four bangers. Often we overlook the support classes, but not anymore. We say, let's give them a big event. So all you four bangers, bust a glass out and spray paint a number on it. We need a full field Saturday night.
Yeah,
I believe. I want to say Plymouth is $1,000 to win.
Probably like kind of an average regular
limited
night.
late model.
Yeah.
Where did I see that?
Yeah, I'm pulling the schedule up right now. Yeah, let's see which one of us can do it faster. Probably you.
Say, did I win yet? What is this? May 24th. Yeah, limited late models, $1,000 to win, plus the Max Champ carts, and then all of their regular divisions.
And then mini wedges on Sunday to compete against the Indianapolis.
To compete with the Indy 500 and the Coke
maybe
600.
Maybe you can sneak it in right in between the 500 and the 600.
Yeah.
Because you guys are starting, at 1 now or 2?
I believe 2 Eastern, 1 Central.
Yeah, so you might be able to sneak it in between.
Yeah, it'll be close.
Boy, 3 races. Can you do all 1,200 miles?
Plus mini wedges.
Well, it'd be 11 plus the 100 miles that the mini wedges go.
Oh, there you go.
Can you do all 1,200? But speaking of Plymouth, I want to hijack our one positive this weekend.
All right.
Or this
let's get
episode.
to our one positive. Let's go.
So our official one positive for all of us, because I'm saying it right now, is Tony Eldridge and his Facebook post about looking at different tracks and how to get fans and what kind of fans and what races are going on and all that. So I want to question and kind of create a little bit of, I don't want to say debate, what's the word? Dialogue.
Conversation starter.
Discussion.
Yeah, create some dialogue on
pot stirring.
Pot stirring.
Yeah, sure. How do we get fans in the seats at racetracks? Because that we talk to racers, we talk to promoters, we talk to all kinds of people on here, and we see a lot of different people at the racetrack. And going to Kankakee, that Mars race was packed. Last week when I went, there weren't a whole lot of people in the stands. Shady Hill was kind of thin on Saturday night. Grundy, I've seen Aaron posted a photo. Looked, I don't know if it was qualifying or kind of getting close to the start time, but it looked like pretty thin in the stands. And I know Billy Nippenberg has come on Facebook Live and kind of talked about his situation. You don't really hear much out of Plymouth, but I think this was a big post for Tony to make about how do we get fans. I know him, and shout out to Melissa from Left Turn Graphics. They had gone up to Hartford, so I know that he has seen that and like what's going on there. But how do we get people in the stands again? So I just kind of want to create some dialogue there, and I'll start off by saying I think too often we look within the circle, right? That is already there. That's our friend group. That's who we talk to. We don't necessarily take it upon ourselves to go outside that friend group, and when we do, we often find not so much pushback, but just like
indifference, I think.
Indifference, uninterested people. I was actually talking to one of our summer helpers this week about, just the difference in generation.
Yeah.
What do the kids these days do? They get on their iPads, right? And so as they grow older, that's how they find entertainment. Whereas when us three, when we needed to find entertainment, we went outside. We didn't necessarily have maybe we had video games, but we didn't have tablets to entertain us. And so what we did was we rode our bikes and tried to go faster and jump it higher and wreck shit and break shit. And I'm surprised.
Play with diecast cars.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And get dirty. And so I think health insurance probably should have been more expensive back then than it is now. but how do we get more fans in the stands? Because I could guess that the majority of the people that watch this and listen to this are already tied into the race scene and already decide to go or not. There's how much push are we really offering to get new people at the track?
Right.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. It is kind of a different generation, a different world now. There is so much that competes for your attention on any given weekend. When I could sit at home and have 20 different streaming services and watch whatever I want to, and I don't have to go to a movie theater. I don't have to leave the comfort of my home. Heck, I could turn on Flow Racing and I could go watch some short track racing, and I don't have to go.
Sure,
I don't have to leave.
That's a separate discussion.
Yeah, but it's all in the same discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much that competes for your attention. Plus, yeah, like you said, the kids anymore, they're not tied to mechanical stuff. They're tied to electrical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's electrical technology and apps and TikTok and all this stuff. It's not, they're not out trying to, soup up their bike to make it go faster or, ride in the neighbor's four-wheeler.
Race cars.
No.
We saw those at PRI.
Separate discussion. Plus, you think about, if you think about NASCAR today, they just go straight to the top. The drivers aren't relatable. They're marketing robots.
Yeah.
I don't relate to any of them. Honestly, I think most of them are wild, whiny, spoiled brats that had, relied on family money to get where they're at. Mm-hmm. So, and that trickles down. It's, are the cars relatable? Are we doing enough to get the drivers out there? You talked about Steve. He made an effort to at least one night every year have a division that gets out of car introductions. Right. That's gonna help to relate drivers to fans and put a face with the name and a face with the car. So stuff like that I think will help. But yeah, it's definitely a generational thing, and I will say we have this discussion now, but we have Tony on the next episode. If we can corral him on here, it'd be great to hear his side of it.
We're gonna force him into this.
I mean, he kind of opened the discussion, and like you said, this had to be a big big thing for him to post because he is usually a very positive, about racing. And I don't think it was a negative post at all.
No.
It was more just a factual statement.
Yeah,
saying,
here's what I see.
Yeah, as a promoter, as someone who's in the business, and doing this on a week-to-week basis. So yeah, very very insightful, and definitely look forward to seeing what he has to say on it. But yeah, it's just you're in an arena where you're competing, and it's how do you make your product and what you're doing more appealing than just staying at home or doing something else.
BYOB, baby.
I mean, maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, that's certainly an effort. A decision, that they have made, and I hope it works for them. But I mean, ultimately, I think people are probably not beers, but you sneak little shooters in, and you don't have to buy beer anyway. So at the end of the day, that probably
not the work in doing that.
Correct. Well, I mean, now we are because just throw it in your cooler at Plymouth, not at Shady Hill or Grundy. We're selling alcohol there, but or Kankakee, but. It certainly saves, the Sours money on a liquor license. Those aren't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It saves them the weekly beer purchase or biweekly beer purchase, whatever sales were, depending on rainouts and whatnot, And I know Chris hasn't said anything yet, but I still feel it's those people that are into racing, and they're there,
right,
and they're probably in the pits. And we're getting more people in the stands that are just coming out of the pits because they'll run back to work on a car between races. But if they're not working on the car, they'll go sit in the stands and watch. So shout out to Kevin for putting those bleachers up in the pits, so they don't have to go up to those bleachers now. But I think to draw the crowd, you have to have the Wreckham, insert Tony Stewart's quote about we gotta have the big wreck. Let's just pile them up and wreck them. Like, don't even run the race, just wreck them. And nothing against that, because this is a business. You got to know how to operate and be successful and maintain your financial income, and so that you can continue to do the racing things. But I don't want to open a sore at all. But look at what Plymouth did trying to do the concert series. That didn't really work out the way they had planned. I see Fairbury does like one a year, Dancing in the Dirt, but like LaSalle, maybe LaSalle's doing a concert. I know they're doing a rodeo, but they only have like 4 or 5, 6 racing events, if that, and then they got the rodeo and maybe a concert or something. So like it is definitely usable space, but you got to know how to use it, and if it's the bus races and the trailer races and the Wreckham races, fuck it, line them up, once or twice a year, just to make ends meet, so that we can continue doing the late models and the mid-ams and the Super Cups and all the support classes.
Yeah, I know the Crash Fest at Illiana, that pretty much paid for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and I mean, you think about like White Sox night. Like, you might attract people that are just fans of the White Sox that are just in town that maybe don't go to the racetrack just because player X is going to be there, and they were their favorite as a kid, or maybe they're their favorite now. Maybe you get someone that's in the system now, and that's that's an added incentive. That's a crossover,
Right.
So things like that. Blackhawks night would be great. Hey, got the Aurelio's connection now, so
Come on,
bring
Dan.
Jeremy Roenick out. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just throwing that out there to the universe, seeing if it sticks. But yeah, definitely got to have the crossover. It's the $1 million question, right? If all the promoters knew how to do it, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Right.
So, but I definitely look forward to having this discussion with Tony.
Yeah, certainly.
'cause I'm sure he's got some great insight on it.
And instead of your one positive, I think we challenge all of our listeners to
Hashtag one idea.
Yeah, yeah, right. Find a friend of yours that is not tied to racing whatsoever, and get them to the track. Bring them over for beers and tune up a flow race. Summer Nationals are coming on here pretty soon. I want to say June 18th-ish is when they kind of kick things off. And get dirt vision every night. You got a late model race, and those are usually pretty good races. I know Turbo, Tyler Erb's going to be on the tour this year. I think there are a couple other guys that had announced that are like big names that are going to do the whole thing. So, I mean, barring some sort of catastrophe where they can't continue. And the Cars tour with Harvick and Jr. I was watching I think the first night of All-Star Weekend last week. I think I texted Chris or talked to Chris on the phone. I was like, why do they have Junior and Harvick announcing this? Don't they work for Fox? And he said they own it. And I'm like, well, okay, that explains it. So, grab a friend that doesn't have anything to do with racing and kind of show them what it's about.
I tell you what, if you want to, if you're local and you want to do that, Dimmitt Race Videos. He's got some good spills and thrills videos on his YouTube page. You talk about highlight reel and stuff they could be missing out on or going to see at the racetrack. That's a good teaser.
Oh,
right
yeah.
There. So, we'll pull everybody into this.
If you're feeling really froggy, I guess you can go find some of them world-known trailer race videos out there on YouTube somewhere.
Or you go to goodacrephotography.com and check out some pictures of race cars.
Yeah, you sure can.
See what everybody's looking
them
like.
High-dollar teams to them four-bangers with spray paint or duct tape or even electrical tape, but we got them all.
Yes, and most importantly, if you really want to get involved, at ISCR, Illiana Stock Car Radio.
That's right.
You follow us right here.
Homegrown talent.
Homegrown right here. Semi-professional.
I won't even say that.
Okay, semi-amateur.
There you go.
But yes, you can follow us on the YouTube page here, Illiana Stock Car Radio. Hit that like and subscribe button. Helps us help you and affects all the algorithms and all the technical stuff that I don't really understand. Also find us Facebook and Instagram at Illiana SCR. And also where you get your audio podcasts at Spotify and, like YouTube podcasts and all that other stuff where the audio version is out there. Every little bit goes a long way.
That's right. All you Grundy guys, get your, all you Grundy racers, get your, guys and girls, get your driver card orders in.
We're starting to stack up.
We can't do the order Wednesday night and hope it's here in time
by Friday.
Thing. Yeah. So, give us as much time as we could use because that is helpful for all of us.
Yes. So that being said, any final thoughts other than get your driver card orders in?
Get your ass to the damn racetrack, all right? Buy some popcorn, get a Miller Lite. Whatever, or a root beer, if you're not of age. But get to the racetrack, man. It's summertime. I know it's a little cold and rainy right now.
I'll say, you tell Mother Nature that.
I think it's going to be like 70s by the weekend, so hopefully
here's the cool
sunny.
thing is we sell hoodies and blankets.
There you go.
And hand warmers.
We got you hooked up.
Yes, we do.
Either way, we got you hooked up.
If it gets really bad, we got ponchos, too.
Yeah. If you need to fill your junk drawer, go see S4 Motorsports.
That's it. We got pens, we got koozies, we got everything you need.
I could use a flashlight. You got any of those?
We got some of those in stock, no waiting.
Great.
With that being said, definitely want to thank our guest promoter of the Grundy County Speedway, Steve Bechtel, as always, for taking the time out to come on the show. And we want to thank you for listening, watching, however you consume the show. I want to thank you for doing that. And as Brian said, man, get your backside, trackside. A lot of racing coming up this season to Grundy County Speedway and every other track in the area. That being said, we will see you guys here next time on Illiana Stock Car Radio.